evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye D'Souza. Thank you for joining us. An update to begin with on the Lakhimpur Kheri violence case. The Supreme Court was hearing the case today. It pulled up the Uttar Pradesh government and questioned the government as to why only 23 eyewitnesses had their statements recorded when there were thousands present at the time of the incident. The court ordered the Uttar Pradesh government to gather more witnesses and give them protection if necessary. Advocate Harish Salve, senior advocate of the Supreme Court who was representing the Uttar Pradesh government in this case, said of the 68 witnesses in the case, statements of 30 had been recorded and 23 of those were eyewitnesses. Earlier, the Supreme Court had criticized the Uttar Pradesh government of their handling of the case in general. Now, to give you context, 8 people, including 4 farmers, were killed on the 3rd of October when they were mowed down by an SUV which belonged to Union Minister Ajay Mishra's son. Ashish Mishra had apparently contracted dengue while in jail, has now been shifted to the district hospital. Well, the Bombay High Court today extended Aryan Khan's bail hearing by another day. Hearing will resume tomorrow at 2:30. Aryan Khan moved High Court after both Magistrate and Sessions Court rejected his bail plea. Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, Mukul Rohatgi, and former Attorney General of India, who is the senior-most lawyer who argues for the Government of India, which is a position he used to hold, represented Aryan Khan. He basically made arguments saying that since there was no drug recovery from Khan and there was no blood test that confirmed that he had consumed the drugs, that he effectively was eligible for bail. He also distanced himself from the affidavit filed by Prabhakar Sali and by any accusation made on the conduct of Sameer Wankade. The NCB had filed a bail response affidavit yesterday with some of their arguments. This is what the argument was. It said that since Shah Rukh Khan's manager appears to have had a meeting with a witness and appears to have influenced that witness who has alleged payoffs, there is an attempt to tamper with the investigation and derail it. Now, you'll remember in the affidavit that was filed by Prabhakar Sali, who is one of the witnesses, he alleged that the man that he was working for actually attempted to extort money out of Shah Rukh Khan's manager after a meeting. Now, effectively through this, what has happened is the NCB has acknowledged that meeting in court. This case will continue tomorrow. Dabur has withdrawn its Karwa Chauth ad, which showed 2 women actually breaking their fast for each other together. This comes after Madhya Pradesh Home Minister Narottam Mishra warned of legal action against the firm. Narottam Mishra said, and I quote, "They showed a lesbian breaking fast for Karwa Chauth looking at her partner through the sieve or the channi. Tomorrow they will show 2 boys taking feras and getting married. This is objectionable." End quote. Dabur issued an apology and said that Dabur, and I quote, "Dabur and Femme as a brand strive for diversity, inclusion and equality. We proudly support these values in our organization and within our communities. We understand that not everyone will agree with our stance and we respect their right to hold a different point of view. If we have hurt the sentiments of any group, it was unintentional and we apologize." End quote. Now, this is a series of offences taken by people within the BJP, the ruling BJP, to a series of ads. Just last week, BJP Member of Parliament Anant Kumar Hegde took objection to a tire advertisement from Seat featuring Amir Khan, in which Amir Khan can be seen advising a group of people to burst firecrackers inside their building and not out on the street because it's dangerous. Earlier this month, BJP leader and Member of Parliament Tejasvi Surya objected to a Fab India ad because of its Diwali collection was called Jashn-e-Riwaz, he said was not Hindu enough. Yesterday, the centre submitted before the Delhi High Court that as the law stands in India, marriage can only happen between and I quote, a biological man and a biological woman. In Kerala, the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has slammed false news on social media that claimed danger to the Mullaperiyar Dam located in the state's Idukki district and warned of legal action against anyone spreading panic among people. This comes after the Supreme Court on the 25th of October took note of the rising water levels in the dam, saying that the situation on the ground was serious. The court also warned that it would intervene if the authorities of Kerala, where the dam is situated, and Tamil Nadu, which manages the dam, do not act on the issue. The Supreme Court rapped the state governments of Kerala and Tamil Nadu on the knuckles over the lack of coordination given days of heavy rainfall in Kerala. The bench had basically said, take a call on the water level and do so with immediacy. It is a very serious issue. On Sunday, the Kerala Chief Minister has written to the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, M.K. Stalin, to ensure maximum quantity of water is drawn from the dam. An update on our COVID numbers. It's good news. 12,428 new cases in the last 24 hours. This is the lowest number we've reported in 238 days. It's really good news. Kerala reporting 7,163 new COVID cases. The Maharashtra government has decided to allow all vaccinated people, irrespective of their nature of jobs, to now get on the Mumbai local. This means anyone who's taken both doses of vaccines and has completed 14 days from the date of the last vaccine can now travel on the local trains. Currently, the Western and Central Railway has been issuing monthly passes only to vaccinated commuters instead of daily tickets in order to curtail the crowd. An update coming in from the world of business. Given the rise of petrol and diesel prices across the country, 700 petrol pumps have gone on indefinite strike in Rajasthan's Bikaner district. Bikaner division includes various districts like Sri Ganganagar, where petrol is the costliest in the country at 119 rupees per litre. The Petrol Pump Association in this area said fuel prices in the neighbouring states of Haryana and Punjab are much lower, which is why people drive across state borders to fuel up their car. And as a result, Rajasthan's Bikaner division is facing heavy losses. Petrol Pump Association went on to say that when people fill their tanks in Punjab, it's less expensive compared to Rajasthan, and that's what's causing the losses. Of course, you know that there is a difference because there's a difference in the tax charged by each state, and that is why the price of petrol and diesel varies from state to state. News coming in from across the world right now. According to India's External Affairs Ministry, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Rome in Italy and Glasgow in the United Kingdom from the 29th of October to the 2nd of November to attend the 16th G20 summit, the World Leaders Summit of COP26 respectively. Now, this is the Conference of Parties. This is the 26th meeting attended by 120 countries. This will largely be on climate change. These meetings began back in 1992 when countries signed a treaty promising to stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations and release in the atmosphere and prevent climate change. They've been meeting regularly since then to not much effect. They've not actually added up to anything, but one hopes that this time, given the fact that the UN just put out a report with a massive red flag saying that we are now in deep trouble when it comes to climate change, that these countries' leaders that are now meeting, 120 countries, will make tougher decisions. The situation in the Sudan is very tense. The United States has strongly condemned the leaders of Sudan's military coup, and the United Nations has planned an emergency meeting on the crisis. US President Joe Biden and his administration have announced a suspension of $700 million in emergency assistance to Sudan. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who's like their foreign minister, called for an immediate return to civilian rule and the release of the detained prime minister. This comes after the Prime Minister of Sudan and various senior officials in the transition government were arrested on Monday by military and continue to be held in a military camp outside of the capital. Civilians have been protesting against the coup for the second straight day, and at least 4 people were killed and 80 wounded when security forces opened fire at the capital. The WHO chief has said the pandemic is far from over and the world needs to use public health tools effectively to continue to tackle it. According to ANI, the WHO chief has said, and I quote, "The pandemic will end when the world chooses to end it. It's in our hands. We have all the tools we need, effective public health tools and medical tools. But the world has not used those tools well. Almost 50,000 deaths a week. The pandemic is far from over." End quote. One piece of positive news before we leave you for today. After making its footprint in solar power production, the Kochi International Airport has ventured into hydropower production as well. This is the first power plant project commissioned by Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. Now, the Kochi International Airport estimates that it will be able to generate 14 million units from this plant. And the same will be fed to the Kerala State Energy Board power grid from November 1st week. Now, this plant will be a run-of-river small hydro project across a river in the state, and it will be built as per the Kerala Small Hydro Project policy under a build, own, operate, transfer lease of 30 years. That's really a ray of hope for us in a country that's right now reeling in an energy crisis, to have more and more options that are not coal-based. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, we have a new conversation uploaded on our YouTube page. This is a conversation with Dushyant Dave, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. We're talking about the Aryan Khan case, but specifically we're talking about the NCB, the Narcotics Bureau, which was really set up to break drug cartels. Now, we've had various allegations into the conduct of the NCB, specifically in this case. Does it weaken the standing of the NCB in this case and in other cases as well? And is that really a symptom of something larger happening in our country? That conversation is on our YouTube page. Do take a look at it. Thank you for watching. Good night.